There is a time, deep in the night, when the world holds its breath. Somewhere between the hours of 12 and 3 in the morning, a profound silence settles, and the darkness feels more absolute. This is what our ancestors called the witching hour. For centuries, cultures across the globe have held the belief that this specific window of time is when the veil between our world and others grows thin. It was a time when supernatural forces were believed to be at their most potent, when witches, ghosts, and otherworldly beings could walk freely, their power amplified by the sleeping world. The roots of this belief wind back to medieval Europe, an era steeped in superstition. The Catholic Church once declared that any activity between 3 and 4 in the morning was especially unholy, a direct inversion of the sacred hour when Jesus was believed to have died, 3 in the afternoon. Over generations, midnight became enshrined in the popular imagination as the moment the boundary between the living and the dead was at its most porous. It was a time of terror for anyone alone in a darkened home, where every creak of the floorboards and every whisper of the wind could be a sign of something more. But why did this particular stretch of time hold such power over us? Before the age of electricity, the night was a genuinely different realm. There were no city lights to bleed into the sky, no glowing screens to offer comfort. Shadows danced and writhed in the flicker of candlelight, and the howl of the wind could easily be mistaken for a voice from another world. It was during the witching hour that people reported spectral figures at their bedsides, heard unexplained footsteps in empty halls, or felt a sudden icy chill that had no earthly source. Even today, the phenomenon of sleep paralysis, the terrifying state of waking up unable to move, often accompanied by the feeling of a malevolent presence in the room, most commonly occurs in these early hours, adding a chilling scientific footnote to these ancient fears. And with the darkness came the sounds. The stillness of night has always been a canvas for haunting calls. In Irish folklore, the mournful cry of the banshee foretold a coming death. In some traditions, a dog howling at midnight was a dire omen. In Appalachia, the call of the whippoorwill was once thought to be the sound of a soul departing its body. These sounds, magnified by the silence, have a unique power to send a shiver down the spine. The witching hour reminds us of a time when our senses were our only defense, and our imaginations were alive with the possibilities of what lurked just beyond the light. Imagine a still, moonlit night. The world is quiet, but one person's rest is shattered by a voice, strange, insistent, and unmistakably urgent. Throughout history, stories have been told of individuals who claim to have received warnings from mysterious sources, a whispered word in the dark, a phantom call across a great distance, or an inexplicable message that seems to come from the very edge of reality itself. These are the voices from beyond, communications that defy easy explanation, yet often carry profound messages, sometimes even foretelling imminent danger. In the year 1898, the French ship La Bourgogne collided with another vessel in a dense, blinding fog. In the aftermath, many survivors recounted a chilling detail. Some among them reported hearing a voice, clear and urgent, just moments before the crash. "Get up, danger is coming," it called. But like so many warnings of its kind, it was dismissed by many as a dream or a trick of the mind. Tragically, hundreds of lives were lost. Such accounts, whether historical fact or folklore, have fueled our timeless fascination with the possibility of premonitory voices. Science often attributes these experiences to the brain's incredible ability to process information subconsciously. Faint, subtle cues our conscious mind misses, the distant rumble of an approaching storm, a slight tremor in the earth, can be woven by our vigilant brain into a warning that manifests as an internal voice. Yet, what makes these moments so compelling is when the warning contains information the recipient could not possibly have known, details that are specific, timely, and seemingly impossible to explain through logic alone. Consider the famous case of Abraham Lincoln. Just days before his assassination, Lincoln shared a disturbing dream with his closest confidants. In it, he wandered the White House, hearing the sounds of sobbing. He entered the East Room to find a covered corpse, guarded by soldiers. When he asked who had died, a soldier replied, "The president. He was killed by an assassin." It was not an audible voice from the waking world, but it was an unmistakable message from beyond, one that, heartbreakingly, went unanswered. There are more contemporary examples as well. In 1977, a British woman named Dorothy Grover awoke in the dead of night to a voice urgently telling her to get out of the house now. Trusting an instinct she couldn't explain, she fled into the street moments before a gas explosion destroyed her home. Investigations found no evidence of a phone call or anyone nearby, only that singular, mysterious warning. Her story exists on the elusive line between psychological phenomena and something genuinely inexplicable, a reminder of the warnings we so often choose to ignore. As a haunting presence intensifies, the fabric of a life begins to fray. The terror escalates, moving beyond subtle hints and into a relentless, inescapable torment.
What may have started as an unusual phone call late at night quickly morphs into a constant barrage. The phone rings at all hours, shattering any hope of peace. Sometimes there is only silence on the other end, an oppressive, breathless silence that feels more menacing than any words. Other times, a distorted voice whispers cryptic warnings, the static-laced tones making it impossible to tell if the caller is a stranger or someone chillingly familiar. The timing is never random. The calls strike at moments of peak vulnerability, just as sleep is about to take hold, or in the gray hours of dawn when reality and nightmare blur. Changing a phone number or even unplugging the device offers no relief. The calls simply resume on a new line, or missed calls appear in the log of a phone that was powered down. Friends and family offer rational explanations, a prank, a technical glitch. But deep down, the person being targeted knows. They know something far more sinister is at play. Soon, the psychological pressure is no longer enough. The terror takes on physical form, infiltrating the safety of one's own home. Objects are disturbed. A photograph knocked from its frame, a door left slightly ajar, a cherished memento moved from its place. At first, these are dismissed as oversights, tricks of a stressed and tired mind. But the pattern becomes undeniable. A family portrait is found shattered on the floor. A window, once locked, now stands open to the night. Muddy footprints trail across the carpet, leading from nowhere and going nowhere. The sense of being watched becomes a constant companion. It follows its target everywhere. A flicker of movement in the corner of the eye, an unshakable feeling of dread that turns even the most mundane task into a perilous ordeal. A fleeting glimpse of a figure in the distance, standing beneath a street lamp or reflected for a split second in a darkened window, is gone the instant one turns to look.
The line between reality and paranoia grows razor thin, and isolation becomes a prison, built from the fear that no one will ever believe the truth. This escalation is a terrifying dance of cat and mouse, where the rules are always changing, and safety is a memory that fades with every ring of the phone. Imagine walking down a familiar hallway. The lights flicker. Your own shadow stretches and bends in ways it never has before. Suddenly, you hear your footsteps echo, not once, but twice, each one slightly out of sync, as if the building itself is replaying your movements. Here, we explore how shadows and echoes, those simple facts of physics, can sometimes reveal that reality is more fragile and mysterious than it appears. Let's start with shadows. On the surface, a shadow is merely the absence of light, but shadows have long held a profound psychological weight. In his Allegory of the Cave, Plato described prisoners who mistook shadows on a wall for reality itself, a timeless insight into how our perceptions are shaped by our limitations. In the physical world, shadows can distort, overlap, or even appear where they shouldn't.
During a solar eclipse, scientists have observed shadow bands, thin, wavy lines of light and dark that ripple across the ground, caused by atmospheric turbulence bending the sun's last rays. These eerie, fleeting waves remind us that the boundary between light and darkness is not always so clear. Now consider echoes. The phenomenon of sound bouncing back has inspired myths for millennia, like that of the Greek nymph Echo, doomed to repeat only the last words spoken to her. But echoes are more than just a myth or an annoyance. They are a window into space and time. In certain locations, like the Whispering Gallery of St. Paul's Cathedral, sound waves travel along curved surfaces and return in unexpected, almost magical ways.
Engineers use echoes to map the vast, unseen floors of our oceans, and doctors use them in ultrasounds to reveal the hidden world within the human body. An echo is a ghost of a sound, a message from a moment that has just passed. But what happens when shadows and echoes begin to misbehave? When they break the rules we expect them to follow, it can feel as if reality itself is unraveling. Stories abound of shadow people, fleeting dark forms seen from the corner of the eye, often associated with sleep paralysis or extreme fatigue. Psychologists suggest these visions may be the brain's attempt to interpret ambiguous stimuli in low light. But for those who experience them, the line between the real and the imagined dissolves. Similarly, auditory illusions, like a phantom echo in an empty room, can make us question whether what we're hearing is truly there, or just a trick of architecture and acoustics. These moments when our most fundamental senses betray us serve as a subtle reminder. Our perception of reality is filtered, incomplete, and sometimes astonishingly strange. When the final documented traces of an event have faded, what remains is not closure, but a dense fog of uncertainty. In the aftermath of a great mystery, a community finds itself gripped by a yearning for answers that may never come. Law enforcement mobilizes, scouring the area for clues, but despite their best efforts, tangible evidence remains elusive. Search parties comb through woods and abandoned buildings. Flyers are pinned to telephone poles. Yet day after day, the expected breakthrough fails to materialize. For many, the most haunting aspect is the sheer completeness of the vanishing. How can a person or an event disappear without leaving a single trace? No footprints, no discarded belongings, no reliable witnesses. Even the ever-watchful eyes of surveillance cameras offer nothing but static or empty frames. In the vacuum left by solid facts, rumors and theories begin to flourish. Some whisper of secret tunnels or carefully orchestrated escapes. Others speculate about more outlandish possibilities, government conspiracies, supernatural forces, or events that simply defy all known laws of our world. The official investigation presses on, but as days turn into weeks, the case grows colder. The search operations are scaled back. Vigils are held, their candlelight illuminating faces etched with both hope and grief. Memorials spring up at the last known location, covered in flowers and handwritten notes, silent testaments to the void that has been left behind. Yet, amid the sorrow, the fundamental questions echo. What really happened here? Was this a random occurrence or part of something larger? And the most unsettling question of all, could it happen again? To this day, the vanishing remains a puzzle with its central piece missing. Each anniversary brings renewed interest, but the unanswered questions continue to haunt all those who were touched by the mystery. A stark reminder of how quickly our certainty can slip away. And so we arrive at the urban legend, the modern ghost story. Consider the seemingly harmless concept of a +1 at an event. Over the years, this simple invitation has developed a mysterious reputation, whispered about at weddings and parties. The legend says that whoever is granted a +1 faces a streak of misfortune, awkward encounters, social drama, even the unraveling of relationships. But this is a legend born of social anxiety. The true urban legends of our time have evolved. They have found a new home in the technology that connects us all. Our ancient fears have not disappeared,
They have simply adapted. The disembodied voice from beyond is no longer a whisper on the wind. It's a distorted message in your voicemail. The haunting call in the dead of night no longer comes from a lonely animal, but from an unknown number on a glowing screen.
The curse is no longer spoken in a dark forest. It's embedded in a line of code or attached to a digital file. These new legends speak of cursed phone numbers that connect you to the dead, of haunted video games that bleed into reality, of digital ghosts that live in the infrastructure of our interconnected world. They tell a story of a call that comes in the deepest part of the night, from a name you recognize, but with something wrong, a strange symbol, an extra number, a +1. They say this is not a country code, it is a countdown, a final minute you will live in terror before the end. They say your own voice might call out from the other side, warning you, begging you not to answer. But if you do, something will return. It will not be alone, and it will come with what it has found, waiting inside of you, every night, at the exact same time. And it already knows where you live.